In Python, how you organize your data, well, it's pretty much everything. So today we're going to break down 3 of the most fundamental ways Python handles data, in order: lists, tuples, and ranges.
So imagine this, you're deep into writing some code, and you run into a super common situation. You need to handle a whole bunch of items at once. It could be a shopping list, the days of the week, maybe a sequence of numbers. How do you actually store that? Well, Python's got your back with 3 really powerful tools for exactly this job, and knowing which one to pick, that's a game changer.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll quickly cover what a sequence type even is. Then we'll get to know our 3 main players: the super flexible list, the super strict tuple, and the number crunching range. And to wrap it all up, we'll have a final showdown to make sure it all sticks. Let's do this. Okay, so before we meet the individual tools, let's talk about the family they all belong to: sequence types. What makes something a sequence type? It really just boils down to 3 simple rules. 1, it has to store multiple things together. 2, it has to keep them in the exact order you give them. And 3, this is a big one in Python, it lets you grab any item by its position, or index, which always starts at 0.
All right, first up, we've got the list. If you've written even a little bit of Python, you've definitely run into these. Think of a list as your most common, most flexible friend. Its whole reason for being is that it's designed to be changed. And making a list couldn't be easier. You just take your items, whatever they are, and wrap them in square brackets. That's it. So here we've made a list called fruits that's holding 3 strings: apple, banana, and mango. Super simple. And because lists are ordered, we can grab items by their index number. Just got to remember that Python starts counting at 0. So if we ask for fruits 0, we get the very first item, apple. And here's a really handy trick. An index of -1 will always give you the very last item, which in our case is mango. But here it is, the absolute superpower of a list. It is mutable. Now that's a key word, but all it really means is that it's changeable. You can add things, you can remove things, you can swap things out whenever you want. It's just like a real-life shopping list you'd scribble on a notepad.
Let's see that in action. Here, we're targeting the item at index 1, which is our banana, and we're just assigning a new value to it, orange. And when we print the list out again, boom, banana is gone and orange has taken its place. The original list itself has been modified.
And the flexibility doesn't even stop there. You can tack items onto the end with .append, or you can precisely .insert them anywhere you want. You can remove an item by telling Python what it is, or you can pop it out using its index. The main takeaway here is that lists are built from the ground up to be modified.
Okay, but what if you have data that you absolutely do not want to change? Well, that's where our next type comes in. Let's meet the tuple. It's like the strict, unchangeable sibling of the list. Its entire identity is built on one simple rule. It is immutable. At first glance, they look almost identical to lists in the code. The one big visual clue is the brackets. Tuples use parentheses, not square brackets. So here, we've just created a tuple called colors.
So what does immutable actually mean? It means it's set in stone. Once you create a tuple, its contents are locked down. You can't add to it, you can't remove from it, and you definitely cannot change any of the items already inside.
And what happens if you try to break that rule? Let's see. We're trying to do the exact same thing we did with our list. Change the item at index 0. But this time, Python stops us cold and throws a type error. And the message couldn't be clearer. Tuple object does not support item assignment. It's a hard and fast rule, no exceptions.
So you're probably thinking, why is this even a thing? Why would I ever want a container for my data that I can't change? And that's a fair question. It might seem like a limitation, but it's actually an incredibly important feature for writing safe, bug-free, predictable code. You use tuples for data that should logically never change. Things like the days of the week or the months of the year. Or think about map coordinates for a specific location. By putting that data in a tuple, you're creating a guarantee. You can be 100% sure that no other part of your program is going to accidentally mess with that data. Plus, as a nice little bonus, this makes tuples faster and more memory efficient than lists. All right, let's move on to our third and final type, the range. This one's a total specialist. Its one and only job is to create a simple, unchangeable sequence of numbers as efficiently as possible. So let's see how it works. When we say range 1, 6, we're telling Python, start counting at 1 and go up to, but do not include 6.
That stop before part is the one little catch you always have to remember. So the result is a sequence of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But range has another cool trick up its sleeve. You can give it a third number, which we call the step. So in this example, range of 0, 10, 2 means start at 0, stop before 10, but count up in steps of 2. And just like that, you get a perfect sequence of even numbers, 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8.
Okay, we have met all three of our sequence types. Now it's time for the final showdown. We're going to put them all side by side so you can see exactly how they compare.
Let's just walk through this. First, the most important feature, mutability. Can you change it? For a list, yes, absolutely. For tuples and ranges, nope, they're immutable, they're locked in. Next, how you write them, the syntax. Lists use square brackets, tuples use parentheses, and range uses its own range function. And finally, when to use them. Use a list for any data that needs to change, a tuple for data that must stay fixed, and a range whenever you just need a simple sequence of numbers.
And here are some real-life analogies to help lock this in. A list is your shopping list. You're always adding things, crossing things off. A tuple is like the days of the week. They are constant, they are fixed, they never change. And a range is just like a list of student roll numbers, a simple, predictable sequence from one number to another.
Look, if you remember just one thing from all of this, please make it this. All three of these are ordered sequences. You can access their items using an index number. The single biggest difference, the thing that should drive your decision on which one to use, is mutability. Can it be changed, or is it fixed forever?
And that brings us to one final thought exercise. Imagine you're building an app and you need to store the GPS coordinates for a map route, a route that absolutely should not be changed by the program after it's been set. Which of these three tools would you reach for and why? Answering that question is the key to writing better, safer, and more efficient Python code.